Well, welcome, ladies, to week 3 of our series on growth. And we are beyond excited today because we are going to dive in to what it looks like to grow physically. And we're so excited because Amber and I both have walked through this journey personally over the last, I'd say over a decade. We've both been working through our journey of growing physically. And that is both what we're eating, how we're moving our bodies, how we're resting, how we're learning all of these things, and even what that looks like biblically. Like, what does the Bible have to say about how we take care of ourselves physically and what growth looks like in that area? So today we're going to dive into all of that. So I'm going to recommend you get a notebook ready, that you get a pen ready, and that you just prepare yourself to absorb some information, because there's going to be a lot of information shared today. And we will link everything. So if you don't get a chance to write it all down, don't worry. But without further ado, we are going to dive in to growing physically and what that looks like in today's day and what the Bible has to say about it all. So Amber, I know you've got lots ready as far as food goes. And I'm going to say, I think we should start out with the food, because I'm going to share this real quick. I don't know if you all know, but the statistics say that 80% of our physical makeup comes from what we eat. It comes from what we put in our bodies. 10% comes from our genetics, our bloodline. And then 10%, you guys, only 10% comes from our movement, from working out, from how we move our bodies and lift and do cardio and all of that. So food is of the utmost importance. And you have some amazing things to share today. I've been my mind has been blown. And so I'm gonna I think you should just dive in and let's just hit a home run, girl.
Okay.
Just go for it.
So I just want to start by saying me and Diane are not health professionals. This is not necessarily our profession, but it is our passion. We are both very passionate about health and wellness. We've seen a lot of breakthrough, both personally and in our family and in family members, friends. Yeah. And so we'd love to share about this. So one scripture I want to start off with is 3 John 1:2. And it says, "Dear friend, I hope all is well with you and that you are as healthy in body as you are strong in spirit." And so to me, when I read this, it communicates that just as our soul and our spirit, we're prospering in the things of God, we're growing spiritually, that our bodies should also be growing. They should also be healthy. And this is the will of God for us to be healthy. His will is not for us to be sick. If it is, there'll be sick people in heaven. God's will is health. It is. And so we take a look at, what are we exposing ourselves to? What are we ingesting? How are we moving our bodies to be healthy? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I just want to say out the gate, we are going to be sharing a lot of information. And some of the stuff you might be like, they just shared so much, I cannot implement what they're sharing. I can't do all that. And you don't have to. We encourage you to, after we get done sharing, go to the Lord and say, what do I need to be eating? What is the change that I need to make after this? How should I work out? What foods are good for my body? That kind of thing. Get with the Lord. Because I'm going to tell you, the only time I've ever been successful with a workout plan and an eating plan, I've actually talked to the Lord and got a word from him on it and started following what he recommended. That's when I began to see breakthrough. And I'm actually going to do this because God said this, not just because some girls got on and shared some information. And secondly, we're going to share some information that you might be like, well, everything they're saying that they don't eat, I eat. And we do not want you to feel discouraged by that. Discouraged at all. No condemnation. Like we said, we're just going to share everything that our research has, what we've come across, what we've implemented. But to keep in mind, we've implemented this over 20 years. So this isn't something that we learned about last week and started. This is something that we've been doing over 20 years. So we slowly turned over to this and we started doing that. So just keep that in mind and just write down, okay, I'm hearing a lot. But you need to start somewhere. So we just want to encourage you to start somewhere, start with what you can do. So I want to jump in. I've talked to a lot of nutritionists, natural doctors to find out, how should I be eating? And so I thought we'd start maybe some of the basic stuff, and then we'll kind of get into a little bit more detail. But I came across one scripture I want to share before we dive in. And this is in Isaiah 65, verse 20. And the first time I read this, I thought, hold on. Like, this is not the way that I have been raised to think or live. So I want you to keep in mind, it's going to talk about death. And if it's talking about death, that means it's still on the earth. This cannot be a future heavenly time. This is a time when people can still die. So this is something that can happen on earth. It says, Isaiah 65:20 says, no longer will babies die when only a few days old. No longer will adults die before they have lived a full life. No longer will people be considered old at 100. Only the cursed will die before that time. And I thought, so you know the word says that we're supposed to live to 120. We can live to 120 years old. How do we get there? And this scripture is saying if you die before 100, you're still in some way living under the curse. And I'm like, well, I surely don't want to be. I want to make it to as close to 120 as I can get. So I remember reading that and thinking it's obviously possible. And then you jump over to Deuteronomy 34, verse 7. It says, Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone. And so that's what I want to have said about me. I want that said about me at my funeral, that I could still see good and that my strength was not gone. And there's a lot of things that play into health. We're not going to be going into necessarily a lot of like overcoming sickness and things like that. But we thought we would probably share a few testimonies on that because I do believe what you say will affect your health as well.
Yeah, 100%.
The power of life and death is in our tongue. We know that. That applies to our bodies, our physical bodies as well. Our friend Christy, she did a fabulous teaching on this. I can share it in the comments below when we post this video in case you want to watch it. I highly recommend watching it. But she talks about common things that we've come into agreement with that actually affects our health. And I know, Diane, you've got a really great testimony. Do you want to share yours just really quickly and how it affected your physical health? The viral one?
Yeah. So I'll just share real quick. I was years ago, I found I was really, really sick, couldn't figure out what's wrong with me, found out that I had super high levels of virals in my body. And at the time they were attacking my spine and I couldn't walk and all of these things. And anyways, we'll share a little bit more about that later, actually, because it has to do with natural health options that I actually got better through. So anyways, fast forward, I had always been told, oh, you're a viral person. And these viruses, you can't get rid of them. They're just going to hide out. And when you become run down, they're going to take over. And I was just always saying like, oh, I have virals. Every time the seasons change, I'm going to get sick. That's what I've been told. And I was speaking that over myself. And actually, I heard a teaching about breaking agreements and the power of my tongue and just simple things like repeating health issues that I've been told that I had. And I realized, wow, I'm saying this over and over and over, and it's coming true. I'm always sick. I remember I would call him, I'd be like, I am so sick and I cannot kick this. I don't know what is going on. I'm telling you what, I asked the Lord to reveal to me any agreements that I needed to break. And I had pages, but the majority was sickness. I was just declaring sickness over my life because I had walked through it. And it was like, it was true at one point, but I broke that agreement and I have not, you guys, I have not been sick. And it has been over 2 years. It's been over 2 years. And it is, I'm telling you, it was constant. I was getting and picking up every little thing that went around. So there is power in your words. There's power with breaking agreements. It has everything to do with our health. And so, yeah, Christy's teaching is phenomenal. You're going to want to check that out for sure.
Absolutely. And I remember, just being friends with Diane, she'd get a cold. She'd like have for like 6 weeks. And I'm thinking, what is happening here? And then she had that revelation, like, I've been speaking over myself. Well, a doctor said it over me that I was a viral person. So I've been saying, well, I'm a viral person. So when I get sick, I'm going to stay sick longer. And she did. That's what happened. And so you broke that agreement and I remember you broke it in February. You came and shared the testimony at my conference in October and you had not been sick one time since you broke that agreement. You might be thinking, what the heck is breaking an agreement? It's basically anything that you've said over yourself that the Bible doesn't say over you, right? Because it talks Jesus bearing up our infirmities so that we could be healed. And so he took it away from us, but yet we still speak it over and claim it over ourselves. We don't even realize. So I'm going to tell you, well, I'll tell you my testimony about breaking agreement a little bit further down. I'm going to jump in, but there is a scripture that goes with this. Numbers 14:28 says, as surely as I live,
Mm-hmm.
the Lord, I will do to you the very things I heard you say. So what you say is very important because you're going to experience it. Okay. So just be
Yes.
very,
Yes.
very, whether it's positive or negative, you know, so be very, very careful. And so when you break an agreement, you just say, you know what? No, I'm not a viral person. I break agreement with that.
Mm-hmm.
I am healthy in Christ. And so, you know, that's just a very simple way of breaking agreements. But we wanted to talk about that before we jump into all the health stuff, because, you know, sometimes
Yes.
our health is a little bit limited by what we've been saying, but we just don't know. So now, you know, break agreements, like get a piece of
Yes.
paper down. Is there any health body agreements that I've been making?
Let me say something real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. I want to point this out, because sometimes when you break an agreement, especially over sickness, I want you to not be discouraged if you feel sick, because that's like, I think we talked about this when we talked about the power of our words and our mindset before, and a few weeks ago, is that sometimes you have to contend for that. So even if you feel sick, you still claim the word of God and you still fight that, because you've got to retrain your thoughts. You've got to retrain your body's got to catch up to what you're believing. And it takes a hot minute. And so that's where we talked about the contending a few weeks ago. So if you haven't listened to that, check it out. But so don't be discouraged if you break an agreement and then you feel that very thing come back tenfold. You contend and you fight through it and you work through it. I'm telling you, it stops. Just don't quit. Consistency.
You know, the word says the kingdom of God has been advancing and the violent take it by force. So in my opinion, sometimes you got to get violent on those symptoms and say,
yeah,
no.
That's true. That's good.
You better have the word backing it up too. So when you say contending, you're contending with like a force, like the force of God, the force of the word of God, like having it back it up. So let's just talk about, like, you know, we want to be healthy, but I'm going to tell you, disease and cancer and autoimmune and just illness, those things, like it's the body. A lot of times it's the body not working at optimal level, and it's the body attacking itself. So if you think about the word disease, it's like dis-ease. So we started the growth section on talking about wholeness, having wholeness in our mind, wholeness in our body. God wants us to be at peace, because when your body's at peace, it's not attacking itself. It's not at dis-ease, it's at ease. And so one thing we got to keep in mind is, yes, absolutely, your spiritual and your mental affect your body as well. So sometimes that's why you need to go to a counselor and process some trauma, because sometimes we have sickness in our body because of trauma. You know, I've even heard of like heart issues being connected to unforgiveness. So that's why it's so important that we walk in the ways of God, forgiving, showing mercy, loving, all these things, because that actually affects our physical health. But let me tell you what else affects your physical health. And what we're getting to is what you eat. So we're going to jump in because I just love this. So one thing that is research shows is that cancer and disease thrives in an acidic environment. So one thing that you always want to watch is how much sugar you're consuming, because that makes your body acidic. So that's one thing that we'll talk about. I'm going to talk about. I thought this was a super interesting. Let's see. Statistic. So in 1822, the average U.S. Citizen consumed about 6 pounds of sugar a year. By 2000, it's gone up to, per person, 108 pounds of sugar a year. So you think in the 1800s, cancer and disease and autoimmune disease and all these issues, they were not thriving. They are now. What has changed? One thing major has changed is our increase in sugar. So that soda drinks, that sugar can hide in so many things. Sugar can hide in, I wrote down some things that are kind of like, you know, you don't always pay attention to. Obviously, sugar, coffees, those kinds of things when you're getting sweet stuff. Sauces, salad dressings, lunch meat, yogurt, cereal. Obviously, my kids call it sugar cereal if I ever get them like something sweet, but I barely do, because I'm just trying to limit their sugar exposure, you know. Fruit juices, so those kinds of things. I will say, as far as, I wasn't going to talk about sugar. I'll just go ahead and talk about sugar since we're on the sugar kick.
Do it.
I don't know if you guys know this, but sugar, this is studies show that spikes in sugar suppress your immune system. So when you increase your sugar, when you're eating lots of sugar, you're actually suppressing your immune system. So not only are you creating an acidic environment, but then you're spiking it, and it's bringing your immune system down, so it can't work as well as it's supposed to. So if you're eating sugar at every meal, what do you think it's doing to your immune system after every meal and every day? So so me personally, just what I do after I've learned all this stuff, I'm like, Oh, I'm not eating sugar all the time. I do not eat candy every day. And there are some days I go and I don't eat sugar at all. And so I'm constantly trying to keep my body not acidic, but alkaline. And the more like fresh veggies and things that you're eating that are healthy, they're going to keep your body more alkaline. So you just think, before you drink that Diet Coke or whatever, do I want to make my body more acidic right now? And that's not to say every once in a while. The thing of it is as with all the stuff we're going to share today, is that if you eat really well 80% of the time, then another 20% have your Coke with your popcorn at the movies. That popcorn's junk, that Coke's junk, but you're only eating it every once in a while. So your body isn't loaded with it and it can flush it out quickly. I also talked to a nutritionist because I was kind of concerned about the heavy metal exposure, and I won't go into all that, but we get exposed to a lot of toxins through pesticides, through the stuff they spray, through water. I am going to talk about water. A water snob. I sat down at a restaurant the other day. My friends had gotten there early. They were drinking water. I said, "How's the water?" And they're like, "What?" I'm like, no, I'm a water snob. Like, does it taste like chlorine? I want to know if I'm drinking a pool or not. Like, because if I do, I'm not getting that. We get exposed to toxins regularly. So I asked a nutritionist and I said, I'm kind of concerned with the amount of toxic exposure we're having. Like, how do I get it out of my body? Is there something I can take? Da, 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 da. And I know you have something that you'll share about that in just a second, Diane. But what he told me was, if your liver is working at optimal level, it will get the toxins out. So you want to make sure that you're not overloading your liver. But Diane, share your little testimony about when your liver was overloaded. How did you fix it?
Yeah. So when I was really sick, like I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest things of concern was leaving my my detoxification pathways open. Your body has pathways to get rid of all of the junk and the toxins like Amber's talking about. And so one of the things that we had to do was make sure that my liver was super ultra healthy and that those pathways were cleared out. And so I was taking supplements so that I would support my liver and support my detoxification pathways. And so that's super important. It is so important that we have a healthy liver in order for our body to be able to flush out all of the things that it's trying to get rid of. Your body is so intelligent. It knows when something does not belong there, and it will do everything in its power to get it out. But it's our job to make sure that we are creating a space in ourselves for all of that to move and all of that to flow. And it takes intention nowadays, because there are so many toxins just in our environment alone that it's really important that we do all that we can to support our liver and our pathways of detox.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Super important.
Lemon is a great natural detox. You can add it to a water thing in the morning, drink that. It detoxes your liver like out the gate. So if you feel like maybe your liver is overloaded, then that would be one natural way that you can start right away. That's easy. That's not hard, and it's not expensive either. I wanted to mention this too, because a lot of people are so interested in like how to make more money. Or I don't know, like I feel like that's a huge one. That's a really huge one. But I think if and of course, I want to do financially well, of course, but I'm thinking, if I have all this money, but I'm sick, if I die early, then what's the point? So I just want to encourage you guys to think about, to really seek and research for yourself what we're sharing. There's even a scripture I wanted to share. It says, this is in Proverbs 3:13-14. Blessed are those who find wisdom and those who gain understanding. For wisdom is more profitable, come on now, than silver, and yields a better return than gold. Money can't buy everything. Money can't even buy health. You've got to be wise in these things. It's wisdom that can help you be healthy, and you can be healthy at whatever budget that you're at as well. There's ways to start. And when we get kind of wrapping up, we're going to show, like, I'm going to share some different ways that I started and ways that you can start to implement things now. So I wanted to talk I'm going to hit this real quick because I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I will say this. I actually came up with a resource of everything, not everything, but most of the things that I'm going to be sharing today, that you can actually go back and click the links and read it for yourself. So I'm going to say it. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but you can go and you can read it and like say, okay, Amber was saying that this, and this causes this, and this. Where's the proof? And so I put the proof down so you could go read it. And we'll share that. We'll share that document with you guys. But another common way we are getting exposed to toxins is through cleaning products. They are highly, the average ones that you're going to see in the store, they're highly toxic. So I would, I have got a resource that. Another, this thing blew my mind. I started using natural skincare about 20 years ago. And I didn't know. I just thought you go to the store and everything you bought there is safe. It is not safe. It is not safe just because it's for sale at the store. FDA doesn't, they're not even looking into they don't make cosmetic companies put stuff on the label that says what's in it. They can put stuff that it is like a free for all in the cosmetic industry. But I will say this, we have a friend who's a part of this community who owns her own cosmetic company. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yep.
And I told her we were putting this together, and it was so funny because she was working on an organic natural skincare. So that is Leanna Cosmetics, and I'm going to link that in the comments, but also we're going to link it in that resource guide that we're going to give you for this. But when I heard this, one of the main ways our bodies are exposed to toxic cancer-causing ingredients is through our personal hygiene, skincare, and cosmetics. I was like, what? I started using natural skincare as soon as I heard that. Like, I'm going to know what's in the ingredients, the stuff that I'm using. I'm going to know what I'm putting on my body. Because you think you're lathering yourself up with lotion. But, if lotion has mineral oil, petroleum, petrolatum, any of that, that's made from gasoline. That is made from gasoline. What do you think it's going to be if you go splash gasoline on your body? It's toxic. So, and that's like the majority of the stuff that you're going to buy at the store. Now, there is some natural lines. You'll notice they're a little bit more expensive, but in my opinion, this is my opinion of the whole organic, natural stuff costing more money. I'd rather pay more money now than pay a doctor's bills later. Paying more for organic now, I'm going to tell you right now, is going to be cheaper than going through a really horrible disease where you're having to go to the doctor and the hospital and all this kind of stuff. So to me, it's a little bit more cost upfront compared to what I'm dealing with, but it's not a cost comparison compared to dealing with a sickness and a disease. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's too, a lot of people forget that your skin is it's literally the largest organ of your body. So when you're putting things on it, it's going, whatever you put on your skin within 30 seconds, it's absorbed into your bloodstream and it's running through every organ in your system. And so that's why it's so important that your skincare, that your cosmetics, that your, even your sunscreen, for the love sunscreen, everybody right now, this time of year, buy a clean mineral-based sunscreen because there's so many toxins and so many chemicals, and you're literally, it's like if you could open a lid and dump it inside your system, that's what you're doing. It's the same exact thing. So take care of your skin. It's super important.
Sorry, I had to unmute because I was like, it was loud. Yeah, that's so good about the skin stuff. Like I heard that, I was like, oh, I'm changing everything. Like I have not one thing has petroleum, petrolatum, mineral oil in it since that time. Like totally changed. This might be shocking. Other common toxic products in our house. Dryer sheets are one of the most toxic things in our homes. You can, and I have this link to where you can look it up. Many hazardous ingredients, several of them are carcinogens, which are known to cause cancer. Are you kidding? It's stuff they sell at the store and they market it to put on our skin and wear it all day. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So not only that, but laundry detergent, dishwasher soap, that's another one. It goes on to all the dishes we eat and we eat off of that. So that's another thing. It's a really highly toxic thing that we can be exposed to. Chemicals will enter the body through skin, like you just mentioned, inhalation, ingestion, and internal use. They pose all of this, like especially the cleaning product ones, they pose the same risk as food chemicals. So just so you're aware, start looking at your products. I do have some links to some DIYs because honestly, you can clean a lot of your stuff with some DIY vinegar. I mean, like, and you can make your own. I watched this thing, it was like a 4-ingredient laundry soap. Saves you money, better for you, and it's super easy to make. And I know, and what did you say about convenience yesterday? Do you remember what you said to me?
I said convenience is killing us because we want convenience. We want everything to be quick, fast, easy because it just goes with our fast-paced life. But is it worth your life? I think convenience is killing us in the worst of ways. And it's not about being convenient all the time. It's about doing what's best for us and our family. We're responsible for our families too, and convenience is killing our kids. Let's just be real. I mean, I don't mean that to be harsh or like you said, no I've done it. I've gone the easy route, and sometimes I still do. It's something that you have to just constantly chip away at. But yeah,
Absolutely.
it's not always about being convenient.
And the thing of it is, the reason why we're passionate about this is because we've seen changes in our life, improvement, getting healthier, getting sick less often. But also, we're super passionate about this for this group of women because we want to go the distance. God wants us to live long and continue to grow in wisdom and the things of God. But if we're not healthy and we're on our sick beds, how can we go out and be fulfilling the Great Commission? So the reason we're passionate about this is not be like, hey, we want to tell you everything you're doing wrong. This has improved our lives, and we want to see your lives improve so that you can be carriers of the gospel and overcoming. That's our heart here, is to create this community of women that are healthy, that are vibrant for the things of God, that are able to say, hey, do you know that this could save you? Some of the stuff we're going to share today, honestly, I believe is going to save lives. I really think it's going to save lives. And so I think that if we can implement whatever we're able to do at the time and slowly make changes, we're going to see an increase to our health, longevity, all the things. Our mental state, everything. It's all affected by what we eat. It's all interconnected because we're body, soul, and spirit. So everything is connected, and let's say we're really on fire for the Lord and we're really doing okay mentally. We're dealing with the stuff that we've had, the trauma. We're mentally okay. But if we're not physically okay, we're going to be not balanced. So we want to talk about being balanced. We want to be on fire and healthy in all areas of life. Okay. Really quick, I'm going to mention this. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But please, let me say this. I'm going to personalize this. I do not cook with non-stick pans. I do not do that because the Teflon coatings that are on the pans have been linked to all kinds of issues: cancer, infertility, and negative health outcomes. So if you own a Teflon pan, I would never cook on that thing again. That stuff is full of chemicals, terrible for your body. If you want a nonstick feel, what I do an iron, wrought iron. I cook on wrought iron. And so you can actually grease it with oil in between using it, and it keeps it nonstick. The other thing I cook with is I do a ton of stainless steel. I even have a stainless steel griddle. So I got a stainless steel griddle. I used to have a Teflon one, got rid of it. I was like, no. And the stainless steel griddle is amazing. All you got to use is just good, a good butter, a good oil on there, and it'll be fine. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but you can research that yourself just to look up, what's in Teflon pans. If you just go look that up, you're going to find out real quick. Yep. Okay. Now we're going to talk about water. I love water. And I know you do too, Diane. Okay.
I do.
No, you guys have heard you should be drinking like 8 ounces of water a day, or 8-ounce water a day, 64 ounces. That helps your body work well. Why does it do that? Water plays a huge, we're mostly made of water. So we need to be drinking it. And soda's not water, coffee's not water. Make sure you're drinking water. And then you can drink the other things, but just drink the main drink you should drink every day is water. Now, water brings nutrients to the cells. It helps us get rid of waste. It protects the joints and the organs, and it helps maintain body temperature if you're getting the right amount. Now, if you're not getting the right amount, here's a couple of symptoms: weight gain, headaches, and sluggish. So just kind of keep in mind, if you're feeling kind of tired, maybe one of the things you need to do is increase your water. You want to lose weight, maybe you need to increase your water. I'm not going to talk too much on soda. I got a lot of friends that are on here. They're going to watch this that drink soda, but I just want to give this analogy. If you went and bought a house plant and you got 2 house plants, one you give water fully and one you give soda fully. Which one's going to thrive? Obviously, the one that's getting water.
That's good. That's good.
It's going to die. It's going to die. Soda has no nutritional value for you. And like I said, I'm not saying don't ever drink soda, but I am saying it better not be every drink you're drinking of the day. It better not be the first drink you're drinking of the day, because we want you guys to live and thrive. And so if a plant dies on soda, you're more valuable than a plant, but you are a living organism as well. So make sure you're getting enough water and treat yourself with soda here and there, but don't make it your main. Matter of fact, my kids, we do a lot of, we make our own carbonated drinks. So I have a Soda Stream, and I'll link that. It's amazing. It is an amazing thing. You get a Soda Stream, you add your water to it, and then you can just drop in lemon, limes, and it tastes great. And it's all natural. There's no artificial ingredients. There's no chemicals in it. Just amazing. It's just water, carbon dioxide. So I would highly recommend that. We do a lot of Spindrift, which is also carbonated water with only natural It's only with actual fruit juice. So those are, and then
Mhm.
when we do soda, we do stevia, so it's sweetened with stevia. So we feel better about that. But that's just what we do personally. Not saying anybody's got to do that. But I will say that my kids are so used to that they barely get soda anymore. And I'm calling it soda. When I lived in the north, I called it pop. Pop's just easy to say. It's only one syllable. But you know, that's for you to take to the Lord and pray. I will say there is some studies on diet. If you're going to drink soda, just this is what I've heard from a nutritionist. If you're going to drink soda, just drink soda. Don't drink the diet. They said the diet
Mhm.
is worse for you than just plain soda. You can look
Yep.
up research. Just look up research. Okay, I'm not telling you what my opinion. I'm just going to tell you what I've read in research. Look, just research where it says what is diet drinks associated to like body health, and see what it's connected to. There's a lot of studies on it. They'll show you. I will say this while we're on drinking. Let's talk about how caffeine and alcohol steals magnesium from your body. You don't want your magnesium stolen, let me tell you. When I read that, I began to limit my caffeine. And this is for you, and this is between you and the Lord. Again, soda's got caffeine in it a lot of times. I don't really drink alcohol, but you know, if you do, and if you drink a lot of coffee, you want to consider this. I know of someone who was starting to get heart palpitations, and when they stopped drinking caffeine, they went away. You know why that is? Because caffeine takes your magnesium out of your body, and if you are not getting enough magnesium, it begins to affect your organs. Namely your heart, one of them. So if you're having some heart issues and you drink coffee, I would instantly get off that. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm just saying experience, research. This is what I would do if it was me. If you are low on magnesium, you can experience muscle cramps, muscle spasms, twitches, difficulty sleeping, feeling more stressed, and have skin issues. So magnesium is a huge thing to play. Now, if you want to keep drinking your caffeine and everything, then I would encourage you to get on a magnesium supplement. I hear they're great to take at night because it helps you sleep. It says magnesium is central to a healthy heart rhythm because it is involved in transporting other electrolytes such as calcium and potassium into the cells. So we need magnesium. Last but not least, while we're on water, I think this was fascinating and very eye-opening for me. And then I'm going to let you talk about your water thing that you love. City water is not good for you. Okay, I don't know if I should say that like that, but I have a link that's on the resource page. It's called Check Your City Water or something like that. It's just a website. It's a website that has checked all the city waters. It has a register of all the city waters in the country. You can type in your city. It will tell you everything that's in it. You will be shocked at how many chemicals are in water. It's so many chemicals. I heard this on a reel one time. I was like, nah, I went and checked it. My city water had over 20 contaminants. This is like public information. This is why you can find this. 20 contaminants, 10 exceeded the approved healthy limit. And some of them were chlorine. I was not surprised at all by that. And then all you got to do is type in what chlorine does to the body, and you're going to be finding out some really interesting and disgusting things. But I will say, I'm going to share the water filter that I've used, and Diane's going to share hers. You guys do whichever one you want. And you guys might already have one that's great, but I know for a fact I got AquaTrue. And so when I lived on city water for a time, I got AquaTrue. I would filter the water out. When I tell you the backwash smelled like a hot tub, I am not joking. The stuff that it filtered out smelled like a straight up chlorine bottle. It was so disgusting. So I would use it. If you live on city water, I would highly recommend getting a filter. And so that's the one I used. Diane, you want to share about yours?
Yeah, I use the Berkey, and I just, after researching, I just found it was best for my family. We got the big one, and I just keep it filled with water, and then we use our drinking water. I use it for filling my coffee pot when I make coffee, and yeah, we use it because it filters out. I can't even remember the stats on it, but look into it. It's a Berkey. You can get small, big. You can get individual water bottles. So, but it's just got an incredible filtering system in it, and it lasts a long time. I mean, you can take like river water, and it's perfectly good drinking water once it goes through the filter system. So it is, it's easy and it's super safe. And so, and it tastes different. Like there's no flavor. It's so refreshing. There is an absolute difference. Yes, my coffee tastes different. It's amazing how good the water tastes. Yeah. So we have a little ice maker too. Ice is the same. So, use
smart.
plain water to make your ice, so we have a little ice maker and I just use the Berkey water to fill that. And it's just,
smart.
It's good. Yeah. It's
the thing about the Berkey, it's not electric. So even if power went out, you would have a source.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
And not all water filters are created equal. So I know the Berkey and the AquaTrue, we could definitely stand by both of those. Done a ton of research on it, and because you want to make sure it's filtering out the bad stuff. Some of the stuff is just, you get a little $30 one at the store. I'm gonna tell you right. I mean, that's better than nothing, but it's still letting a lot of stuff through.
It is.
I even boiled my pasta in it. Anything I was cooking in water, everything, like steaming broccoli, everything. I went with my water. So yeah, it's really great. The other thing that you might want to consider is putting on an all-house filter as well, because it not only is when you drink it, but like we said, the skin, when you're taking a shower, within 30 seconds, that water that's in the city, that's getting into all your body. So I would at least pray about it. The only other thing I wanted to mention about water is if you're filtering your water, a lot of times it's taking out the minerals as well. So that's why it is very helpful to make sure that you are on I use a trace mineral. So I'm going to share. Oh, I don't have my products with me. Shoot. I'm going to link my products that I use, and Diane's going to link hers. So if you're filtering your water, you're going to need to get minerals somewhere. If you're on a well water, that's fabulous. They've got tons of minerals in that. That's great for you. Probably won't need, unless you're filtering it, you probably won't need to add minerals to it. That's how good well water is for you. But if you are not on a well water and you're filtering all your water, you're going to want to make sure that you're getting minerals. That's the one thing it does take away. So I was talking to a nutritionist and was sharing that I had a family member that was going gray early, and he immediately said, oh, he needs to be on fulvic acid. If you take fulvic acid, it helps with the grays. It'll help stop the grays. So I was like, I'm starting to get grays in my eyebrows, guys, and just one or two here and there. And when I am consistently taking fulvic acid, I get no grays in my eyebrows whatsoever. They stop. So I know that that's true. Early graying has to do with mineral deficiency. That's one of the things. So I will link my fulvic acid. I believe it has, I think of the 92 minerals that our body needs and is made up of, it has 82 of them. And I just put a squirt in my water every morning, and I am on well water, but I still squirt that in there just to make sure I'm getting everything that I need. And then what's your minerals that you take, Diane?
I don't have the bottle with me right now, but it's a liquid form. And so you just put a little, you don't need much at all. You put a little bit. I just put it in my shakes usually, or I do a greens drink often, and then I'll put it in that. Just easy, quick, it's simple. But I'll link it as well. It's a trace mineral, and it's just, a bottle. Everybody needs it. It's so phenomenal. You will, I think you'll notice the difference in it. You don't want to take too much to start. If you're doing the liquid form, you want to just start out really small, start out with less than they say, and kind of work your way up into it, because your body does have to get used to processing all of the good things that you're putting in it as well. So it takes a hot minute sometimes.
I would think ours are similar, but I know for sure that fulvic acid, when you have it in your body, it helps detox from heavy metals and toxins and chemicals. I would think yours is probably similar, but I had done some research on that, and so that helps stuff get out of the body.
Yeah.
So good minerals help get rid of the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Also, while we're talking about that, I thought we could talk about our vitamins. So I take a multivitamin daily. I do Mary Ruth's, and it's like an organic multivitamin for men and women and kids. They can all take the same bottle, so I just get that, and it has no sugar in it. It's sweetened with natural sweeteners and some juice, and so I really like that. And I notice that I'm healthier when I'm on that. Do you have a multivitamin that you recommend?
Yeah, I have some that I use through Mary Ruth's, but I typically do a standard process. That's the brand that I have just stuck with, and it's so good. It's all plant-based. There are no no side effects of mixing all of your supplements together, and I just love them, and I can tell when I take them. So I am a big fan of standard process. I also like Biotics, and those are just two brands that I've just learned to love through my journey in health and wellness. That is my natural doctor has just opened the door to the beauty of supplements. But I do want to say this, supplements are super important. And are you going to talk more about supplements?
You go ahead. I don't have a ton on it.
Together. I just want to say, because when I was walking through my journey, I was so dependent on supplements because they made me feel so much different. They were literally helping me heal from the inside out. But I do want to just say that I noticed for me, I had to be careful because I felt like I almost made them an idol, you know, like I'm not going to be good without them. So I was scared to go anywhere without my supplements. I wouldn't travel without them. I would always have a backup because I never wanted to run out. And I mean, they're wonderful to take, but don't let them become the all or nothing in your life, you know, especially if you're walking through a health journey. I think you can become dependent on them because you do notice a difference and you don't want to go back to where you came from. So, but God is our healer, and he uses doctors sometimes. He uses naturopaths. He uses supplements. He uses clean food. He uses all of these things in our lives, but we can't make any of them an idol before him. He is the healer. He's our healer. And so just be aware. I just felt like at a season, he was like, okay, Di, you know, calm down on the supplements. Trust me. And I've asked him, Lord, what do you want me to take? And I have weaned out so much because you don't need to take everything forever. You just need it for a season. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, I'm glad you said that because I just assume that, you know, people who know us know that like our heart is like the Lord. We love Jesus. We are all about God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're doing a lot of talk on health stuff today. So I'm so glad that you said that, like, he's the healer. He's the one that our lives are dependent. And we're just talking about growing in the wisdom and doing research. You know, I think sometimes we don't want to look into it because sometimes we don't want to know. We know that some of the stuff isn't the greatest, but we don't want to go and, you know, find it all out for real. But I think, you know, they say that ignorance is bliss, but I think not if it's killing you. It's not bliss.
Yeah.
It's causing diseases and sickness in your bodies and your family's body. It's not bliss. That's just not being wise. And so, like we said, we're throwing a lot of information at you. Take what you can, leave what you don't want. It's up to you. There's no pressure to do anything. We're just sharing. This is what we've done. We've seen huge difference in our lives with this stuff. Just wanted to touch on hormonal stuff real quick. So there's a couple things you can take to help with hormonal health. I don't know the supplements as much. I'm obviously I'm in, you know, I just turned 40, so I'm not dealing with like the menopause or premenopause, that kind of stuff. But I can speak to the cramps and those kinds of things of the menstrual cycle. But I will say that studies show that cruciferous vegetables help regulate your hormones. Okay. So broccoli, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, all of that is so great for you to have. Obviously, they always say that like the raw is the best, but if you're not going to do raw, then cook it up and eat it, you know, and eat it on a regular basis. Have those a couple times a week. That's what I try to do. I just love cabbage anyway. I love cabbage. So I make my pizzas on cabbage. And that's amazing. You have not tried a pizza cabbage. Oh, it's so, so good. Some of my kids, we make pizza every week. And some of my kids will say, can I have some of yours, Mom? And I'm like, they're having like normal, you know, dough pizza, and I'm having none, and they love mine. So anyways, it's super good. Also the other thing that helps regulates hormones is flax seeds. So if you get that and throw that in a smoothie, sometimes I just mix it in with peanut butter. I throw it on oatmeal, things like that. That helps to get flax seeds into your body. That actually helps regulates hormones as well. You don't want to have too much estrogen in your body. Progesterone's okay, but that's like the happy hormone. But estrogen, if it's too high, it causes problems. And so one common way that we are getting extra estrogen into our body is through soy. Soy is not good.
No, bad.
In moderation, it's okay. But soybean oil is in almost everything. It's in everything. So make sure you're reading your ingredients. That could be the one thing you take away from this call, reading your ingredients and limiting your soy. Because first of all, boys don't need to be getting estrogen at all. So anything with soybean oil, in my opinion, I would go to your cupboard. I would look at every ingredient. I'd get everything out with soybean oil. It's in pasta sauce. It's in salad dressings. It's in tons of mayonnaise and sauces. And, you know, you get a sauce at a store, at a restaurant, dipping sauce, most of the time, soybean oil's in it. It's just a way that we're getting added estrogen. So not only does it affect the men in our life, it affects us as well. It rises our estrogen. We want our hormones balanced, not one higher than the other. So obviously, I'm going to jump into some more, like a little bit more practical food things. So when I first started my health journey, I began to eat more whole foods. As in, I was starting to cook more things from scratch. I was not getting box mixes. I was not, I tried to, create my own sauces. Like if I'm going to make a fettuccine Alfredo, I just did this the other day. I'm going to make that sauce. Is it going to take me an extra 5 minutes? Sure. But is it going to affect my body in a positive way? Yes. Believe it or not, most Alfredo sauces at the store got soybean oil in it or some kind of oil that's not great for you. So if you are like, look, I can't do all organic. I can't do all these supplements they're talking about. I would say start with just cooking whole foods and start making more things from scratch. Maybe it's not everything, but maybe it's one meal a week. You're like, I'm doing this one from scratch, and just begin to implement what you can. I would recommend not as many processed foods. So that's anything that basically comes in a package. That's what a processed food is. Chips, box mixes. I'll tell you the things that I do that are processed. Pasta. I do buy pasta processed. I try to get organic pasta, or sometimes if we're doing a gluten-free thing, I'll get a gluten-free pasta. I do buy my kids organic macaroni and cheese. I'm sorry, but I am going to do that for them. Every once in a while, I make macaroni and cheese from scratch, but I do buy pasta sauce, usually organic, and I make sure there's no bad oil in it. I look at the ingredient label. So those are kind of like I would say my most processed things. And cheese, I'm not making cheese myself, but those are kind of some of the things that I buy that are not whole foods. I don't know. Do you have anything that you want to share as far as like whole food process goes?
Yeah, I think just when you're in a store, really try to stick to the outer perimeters of the store. Anything in the aisles is typically processed. And so, there's things, I get it. Like, and especially if you have kids, there's things that they love. We're not saying strip every comfort food away from you, but like minimize and really try to have the majority of your foods be clean, whole foods. If it doesn't go bad in a short amount of time, it's processed. So, I mean, it's a good thing if your food gets bad, because that means it's actual clean food. I also would be very careful on your fruits and vegetables. It is worth, unless it has a really thick skin on it, and you might be getting here, Amber, so I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead. Really try to buy organic foods, and make sure that they are not genetically modified. Please, for the love of all that is holy, don't buy genetically modified food. Just buy organic, simple fruits. Don't buy the crap that's been mixed together in a lab and they're trying to contort them and make them different. Just get fruit. And then wash them and, keep them clean. And there's so much on the internet, you guys, about how to make your food last longer, how to store them in the fridge, how to do all the things. So just look into it, but just eat outer perimeter, make sure it's organic as much as you can and not genetically modified, and not, doesn't have the APEL label on them. Do not have a lot of the organic foods have been approved with the appeal covering or coating that they spray them with. It's not good. You just don't want it. So farmers markets are a great option. I do ask when I go to a farmer's market, I do ask if it's organic, and I make sure it's not been sprayed with pesticides, because I want to know. I want to know what I'm buying from. So it's a big deal. We're putting it into our bodies. We're putting it into our families' bodies. Food is essential, but let's make sure that it's building us up, not breaking us down.
Absolutely. A couple ingredients that I look out for, and I just want to make you guys aware of. If it says made with bioengineered ingredients, that stuff doesn't come into my house, because they can put a whole lot of stuff into that. Yep. Like I said, they've approved all kinds of nonsense. I'm going to mention a couple of the things that they've approved. But bioengineered, that's something that's not coming into my house. That means it was designed in a lab. It's not a naturally occurring thing. They can also put in their hormones, medical stuff, vaccines. They could put all that stuff into there under that label. So they're trying to get it to where they have to say if a drug has been added or a vaccine has been added to the food. But right now they're not required to say that, but they do have to put the bioengineered. So that stuff don't come in my house. So I would encourage you, we're going to encourage you to have a closet, or what is it called? What do they call where you store foods? Or a pantry clean out after this. Go look at the ingredient labels. You don't have to go. I did when I was like, I'm not doing this. Another thing that you might think is healthy, but it's not, is natural flavor. If it says natural flavor, natural flavors, that can be up to hundreds of chemicals that is a natural flavor. There's no natural flavor to it. It's actually chemicals, and you don't even want to know. I'm not even going to tell you, but if you want to research it, you can. Research what makes natural flavors sweet and what makes natural flavors salty, and it is disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. So there are drinks that are like, oh, it's your natural drinks, it's got natural flavors in it. No. Just because it's some ingredient found on this planet, like some chemical or from an animal organ, don't make it good for you, and don't make it natural. So just I would encourage you to look into that. If my rule of thumb is if it's about more than 5 or 6 ingredients, I won't buy that. If I don't know what the ingredient is, I won't buy it. So if it's like, some kind of letters, I mean, you guys know that they're putting bugs, the crickets, into protein powder and all kinds of powdered stuff. So just make sure if you know what it is, make sure you don't buy it, or just look it up real quick. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Even chocolate has bioengineered ingredients a lot of times. So like, just always get in the habit of flipping it over and seeing, does it have bioengineered? Does it have natural flavor? Does it have something I have no idea what it is? Do not get. Preservatives aren't good, and food dyes aren't good either. You can research that for yourselves too. But I saw a video where they 4 glasses of water and put the different oils, put the different food dyes in it, and they put a leaf in it. And I'm gonna tell you, the red and the yellow leaves were like moldy and dead. So definitely red and yellow, stay away from those. I try to stay away from them all, but every once in a while my kids get a blue sucker. You know what I mean? But I'm more comfortable with the blue than I am with the red and yellow. So all right, let's keep moving. You already mentioned organic. I wanted to give you guys my organic testimony. When I heard this talk on breaking agreements with health, one of the things she said is don't make agreements that you're going to have a bad menopause, or you're going to have hot flashes, or you have bad periods. And I was like, well, I think I always have. I always say, oh, I always get a cramp on my period, or I'm on my period. I'm getting cramps, or oh, I'm getting my once a month headache because I'm on my period. So I used to get once a month headache on my period. And I was after that call, I was like, no, I break agreements with this. I am breaking agreement with bad headaches on my period, with cramps on my period. I do not have to tolerate that anymore. I can have a period and have no symptoms at all. In Jesus' name. So I said that. Amen. Immediately I started eating organic too, because that was right around the same time. I'm like, I'm going all organic. And I'll tell you why in a minute. That first month, I had no cramps after that. That first month after I broke agreements, no cramps at all, still got a headache. 3 months in, I was getting headaches. About the 3rd month in, headaches left. I have no doubt in my mind that it was because I broke agreements and because I began to eat organic, because everything that is sprayed on produce, wheat, everything goes in and affects your body. And so when I eliminated the extra toxin load and broke agreement, it was like this really powerful like combination. I get no cramps, I get no headaches on my periods anymore. And that was less than a year ago, or it was about a year and a half now. It's been that happened. So you guys can break agreements with stuff and begin to eat healthy and expect to see change in your body. Okay, let's go into this. These are the, if you can't do all organic, these are the ones I would do first. This is my opinion. This is what I would do first. I would eat organic butter. That's one of the first things I would switch. That is the first thing I switched in my life when I went to organic. And I will tell you why. Animals store their toxins in fat, and butter is fat. So and they want to get it out of their body too, because our bodies are designed to get rid of toxins. So when they get their fat out of their body through dairy and when the butter is laden with toxins if you're not buying an organic. So I instantly like, it's more highly concentrated than it is in like the veggies and the produce. So I switched my butter before I switched produce, and because I eat butter every day. We have butter on. We cook in butter, we put butter on bread, we make our eggs in butter, we always are having it. So that's one thing that I switched. And that was the first thing that I switched because it has one of the highest concentrations of toxins. I do not eat margarine. Margarine is full of PUFAS, which is omega-6. And it has, if you have high omega-6, it's linked to all sorts of illnesses: cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, cancer, IBS, arthritis. We'll talk a tiny bit more about that when we get to the seed oils, but basically it's made up of oil that's bad for your body. So there's been this lie that good fat is not good for you. So a lot of people went to skim milk. They went to no butter. They went over to margarine. They went to low fat everything. And I mean, I have someone that I'm close with that went low fat everything 30 years ago, died of Alzheimer's. Why is that? The mind is the fattiest, or the brain, fattiest organ in the body. And if you deprive your body of fat, you are going to ruin this. And so your brain actually needs fat. And I heard of a study once that this farmer had a bunch of coconuts and he wanted to get rid of them. So he threw them out to the cows. And when the cows began to eat the coconuts, they didn't get fatter because the coconuts are real fatty. They got skinnier. And that's when people started to realize that good fat actually helps you get skinny. It helps get rid of the bad fat. And so good fat is like coconut oil, olive oil that's been cold pressed and not, refined in heat. Like good butter, ghee, the organic ghee, all this kind of stuff. Good fat is good for you. Your body actually needs it. Your organs need it. Your cells need it. And we'll talk about that when we get to the seed section. Do you have anything that you wanted to say about anything I mentioned so far?
I love everything you're saying because I think people are scared of fats. And I think they think, oh, if I eat fat, I'm going to get fat, or I'm going to get cholesterol, or I'm going to get all of these things. I'm telling you, we need to unlearn what we've learned and relearn things for ourselves. We can't just believe everything that we've heard. So don't even just take our word for it today. Go research this stuff. And we've got some really good reputable sources that we'll share at the end of this. But good fats are essential. You will not feel good. You will not think well. You will not have a clear mind. Your body will not feel good when it moves unless you have good, healthy fats in your body. They're absolutely essential. The fake stuff is killing you. It is putting plastics in your bloodstream. It's going to hurt your heart. It's going to mess up your mind. You're going to get, I'm not going to say you're going to get, but a lot of the mental illnesses that elderly people are experiencing, or even earlier on, much earlier on than we're used to, has to do with a lack of fat in your brain.
Yep.
So good fats are so healthy. Eat them. We eat them every day. We eat butter every day. Yep. Good, organic, grass-fed butter. And it's amazing. Your food is just going to taste better.
Even just from a Christian perspective, butter was designed by God. This is like a naturally occurring fat, right? So of course it's going to be better for you than the man-made stuff. It doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. So anyway, my mom had someone that she knew, and they told her, she mentioned something about margarine, and they said, oh, my dad works at a margarine factory. He said, if you're going to eat margarine, you might as well just eat the container it came in.
Yes.
It's really like plastic to your body.
Yeah.
And it messes up with your cell membrane. So, and actually I'm going to mention that too, because we're going into seed oils. So I just want to talk about seed oils. You might hear something like, seed oils are bad for you. So I would hear that. I'm like, but what are they? So I began to research it because I wanted to know. Mm-hmm. And so let's see. So fats, I learned this, fats are the primary building block of your cell membranes. Mm-hmm. So you need fat. This is one of the reasons why eating the right type of fat is good for your health and longevity. So now, one thing that's super interesting about oils is oils have a specific smoke point. And that means, when you put oil in a pan and you see the smoke coming up. Once that has happened to the oil, it creates a harmful compound in your food that can negatively affect your health. So once they overheat certain oils, they actually create byproducts. I don't know if I might butcher this word, but it creates acrylamides. I don't know how to say it. A bunch of things. Free radicals and trans fats. So when I remember hearing a nutrition talk about this smoke point and making sure you're not getting oils that have been refined through heat, because most of them have already hit the smoke point and been refined through heat. They're already bad. They've already turned into a harmful substance to your body. And they said, actually, this is a nutritionist told this, actually almost most of the ones you're going to see at the store already are that. So if they are at the store in a clear bottle, for the most part, they're already there. They're already bad for you. So what I always look for is I look for cold pressed oils. So that's always really helpful. I usually do olive oil that's been cold pressed because it hasn't been heated up past the smoke point. You know what I mean? When I was researching, I found that there are two basic types of fatty acids. You've got your saturated fats, and then you've got your unsaturated fats. And unsaturated fats are divided into polysaturated fats, which are the bad ones. Polyunsaturated fats are the bad ones. And it says your tissues are made up mostly of saturated and monosaturated fats, and your body requires more of them. So your body needs the saturated and the monosaturated fats, which are the good fats, the good oils, those things that we were mentioning. I am going to, if I can, I wanted to pop up on the screen. I might throw it over to you in a second so that I can find it. So I wanted to show them, I've got this chart that shows you like the worst ones, the best ones. Okay. So I'll show that. There is, let me just bottom line this because there's a ton of information on there. I have an article linked. I would love you guys to go read it so you can just read why are seed oil is bad. And this is what I told my kids. They have this thing, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it correctly. They have this thing in seed oils called linoleic acid, and they're really bad for you. That acid is in these oils that are meant that I'm going to show you on the chart. Almost all oils have them, but some of them are lower on the chart. And they're not going to expose that much to you. But here's the thing. When you ingest this, it goes into your cell membranes, which are made up of fat, and it begins to disrupt the function of it. It's not able to function as well. Someone had explained it to me kind of in like a little bit more simpler terms, like basically it coats your cells and they cannot act the way that they were designed to act. So when cells aren't able to act the way they're designed to act, it starts to create cancer, disease in the body because they can't function like they were, your body's like you said, designed to be able to get stuff out. But if your cells are being coated with stuff that's preventing them from working like they're supposed to, then it's going to cause problems. So anyways, here's the bottom line. When you have the acid that I mentioned, the stuff that's higher, guess how long it takes for it to get out of your body? 6 to 7 years. And so when you ingest that, that's how long it's going to take to get it out. So one thing that I found is that, I mentioned the sugar thing, how sugar increased from the 1800s to where we are now. But not only did that increase, seed oils increased because they increased. So you got the acidic environment happening combined with the oils coating the cells, and they're not able to work as well. Sugar it gets out of your body 2 days. It takes 2 days for the sugars that you've ingested to get out of your body. So, but the seed oils take 6 to 7 years. So the person that wrote this article, it's their opinion that it's the seed oils that's causing more of the problems than the sugar. I think it's like a combination of the two. I think you're keeping your body always having sugar. You're constantly keeping your body in an acidic state. And then you've got cells that can't function like they're supposed to.
I think it's sometimes if we just use our mind and a little bit of logic, we'll understand why these things are not necessary. And I mean, I've heard it said about seed oils, like we use them now because they're just convenient and they're super cheap, right? So it's easy for companies to put them in everything as a replacement to something like grass-fed butter, right? Which is going to cost a little bit money, or a organic coconut oil, which is going to cost a little bit more money. On the large scale of things, suppliers want everything super cheap. But think about it. Think about like, let's say like a sunflower oil. That's a seed oil. Okay, that's not something you want to be putting in your body consistently. But think about how much work it would be to go out and to dry the sunflower and to get all of the seeds, and then to take the seeds and to grind them up and to get the tiny bit of oil that will come out of a sunflower seed because it's such a small seed, and then to mass produce that and use that to cook with. You would have never done that years ago because it was just not functional. It wouldn't have made sense. It would have taken way too long to ever get enough oil to actually cook with. But now we're doing it all the time. Same thing with grapeseed oil. Let's see, what are some other ones? Soybean oil, there's peanut oil, canola oil, all of those oils, they're just not good for you. So I'm just going to say, like, if you can scratch them all, like Amber mentioned earlier, the 20% you're going to go out to eat, you're probably going to get some seed oils. Just don't make it the norm. Don't let, like we said earlier, don't let convenience be your killer, right? Just be aware. Be mindful when you are at a restaurant. Maybe get something a little cleaner. Ask that it not be cooked in a seed oil. Ask. A lot of restaurants are really open to making things in a different way based on allergies or preference, even depending on where you're at. But seed oils they're toxic for your system. So get them out at all costs, especially out of your home. Go look in your pantry, like Amber said. We're going to encourage you to just clean it out, clean out your pantry, clean out your fridge, get any of the junk out of your body. Stop feeding it stuff that is hurting you, because it's just, it's having more of an effect on your system, I think, than any of us realize, and the longevity of life. So Did you find that? Are you able to put it?
So as you can see, here's the linoleic acid.
Oh yeah.
Look how high it is. So safflower oil, 70%, grapeseed oil, sunflower. Everything in the red is like, don't eat, basically.
Yeah.
Corn oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil. Because if you have so many of, it's okay to have a little bit of these. If you have so many of these, it's overloading your body.
Wow.
It's affecting your health. And we've got to clean them out. Like I said, it takes 6 to 7 years to get them out of your body. Look at this, peanut oil, canola oil, but then you've got olive oil is starting to get better at olive oil. Olive oil is a very low smoke point. So when I get olive oil, I use it to make my salad dressing in and anything I'm not heating up. Avocado oil is right there too. I usually cook with avocado oil because it does have, avocado oil has a higher smoke point, so that's okay to cook with. No, it's in the 10% range. So you're not going to want to use it like every day. Lard is good. Palm oil, that's good. And I did notice that you can get tortilla chips. You can find it with palm oil and avocado or olive oil. That's what I would do. I'd start looking at your chips, even organic chips. A lot of times they're still made with organic corn oil. You ain't trying to do that.
Nope.
Tallow, ghee, butter, coconut oil, butter, look at this, grass-fed butter is the best thing to cook in. That's why I say that you and I were saying we cook a lot and we use a lot of that. So I just wanted to throw that out. You could see also in the article on why our seed oil is not good for me. This chart is on there, so you guys can research it and read more into it. Where seed oil hides a lot of times, your mayonnaise, your salad dressings, nuts. I always look for nuts that are dry roasted. I try to get my nuts with no oil on them at all. A lot of spices, actually, spice mixes have seed oil in them. So just keep an eye out for that. Anytime you're getting a salad dressing that's store-bought, almost always has it. That's a simple thing you could change now is just making your own salad dressing. Little olive oil, little cider vinegar, and then just sprinkle on some Italian seasoning, salt, pepper. Easy. It's really easy to make it. Like I said, we haven't had salad dressing. Well, we haven't salad dressing in our fridge for years because I just make it all the time. And there's an easy ranch, DIY ranches, those kinds of things. So let's move on from that. I just wanted to mention that limit your exposure to that. I'm like, man, I got to start right now. So I can get in 6 years, maybe I'll have no of those bad oils in my body. Again, 80-20, right? Because I'm going to go out to eat. I'm not going to not go out to eat. So I would do a little bit of it. I just won't have an overload. One thing that after we did organic butter, the next thing we switched over to is we went to organic meat. Organic grass-fed meat if possible. There's more omega-3 fatty acids in those. There's less cholesterol and there's more antioxidants. The reason we went to meat, I actually went to meat before I went to organic veggies, because there's such a high concentration of the toxins per centimeter in the meat. It's more concentrated than even the vegetables. So that's what we went butter first, then we went meat. I will say this, if you're like, well, I'm going to get all this organic stuff for a good deal. Aldi has like the best deal on organic. They have chicken, they have beef, they have veggies. That's where I get most of my veggies. Aldi also has something super awesome. They've got organic lunch meat, and it's the best deal that I've found around. And it has like 4 ingredients in it. You know what every single one is, and there is no sugar in it. You can hardly find lunch meat without sugar in it. You can hardly find organic lunch meat at all. So Aldi has they have ham and they have turkey. Let's talk about fruits and veggies. There is, if it's not organic, it's been sprayed with pesticides. And I'm just going to mention a couple of them, what they are and what they do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to say all these. Fluoxonil is on veggies that are not organic and fruit. It has been found to act like estrogen, increasing the proliferation of breast cancer cells. It also has the potential to harm the male reproduction system. Pyrimethamine, I don't know how to say this, has been linked to thyroid disruption and might block androgen receptors in the body. Some studies have suggested that another one, I can't say it, this is all pesticides on fruit and veg, can be associated with liver toxicity and metabolic disorders. And in animal studies, boscalid has been linked to cancer, thyroid dysfunction, and disrupts hormones. So that's all stuff they spray on normal fruits and veggies that are not organic. Now, like I said, when we first started going this way, we did butter first, and then we went to meat, then we did veggie, and last we did the grains, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But the Dirty Dozen, y'all might have known them, but if you can't do it all, I would recommend doing the Dirty Dozen, and that is strawberry, spinach, kale, mustard, greens, collard greens, grapes, peaches, pears, and collard greens are hard to find organic. I make those a lot, and I have a hard time finding them organic. nectarines, apples, bell and hot peppers, cherries, blueberries, and green beans. So that's the 12 that you want to really. Now, beyond the 12, that once you go beyond the 12, they don't hold the pesticides as much. So if you can't do them all, I would try to do, like I said, I usually get mine they're only like $1. It might be $1 to $2 more. And I'm like, that's not going to break the bank for doing $1 to $2, in my opinion. But another place they sneak them on, and I'm more recently into this. So I was talking to a nutritionist and I said, why do so many people have problems with wheat, with gluten? And they said, I don't think it's a gluten problem. I think it's a glyphosate problem. And that was the first time I heard it. And I instantly began to research that. And I would encourage you guys to research it. What does glyphosate do? What does it do to the body? What does long-term exposure do? And so glyphosate is sprayed on anything that's not organic. Soy, corn, wheat, oats, barley, etc. Any kind of grain is sprayed on that. It is a herbicide that will kill most plants, but also microorganisms. So they have said, you know, it's not bad for our body because we're not a microorganism. We are not, but we have microorganisms living in our gut. And so what it does is when we ingest things that have been sprayed with glyphosate, it kills the microorganisms in our gut, which leads to all kinds of issues. Because you guys know that it's talking about the gut is connected to the health of our whole body. So I would research this. This was super fascinating to me. But it says any alterations to the gut microbiome. So glyphosate kills the microbiome. Any alterations to that have been associated with neuroinflammatory disease, including anxiety, depression, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, autism. Glyphosate's toxic effects are broad spectrum, killing many microorganisms, including bacteria, fungi, and protists. And so, many of them we have in our body. And so if it's killing off what got in our body, obviously it's not good for you. And I don't know if you guys know this, but glyphosate is what Roundup is made of. And I think about, would you spray it in your mouth with Roundup? No. Then why are they spraying it on our food and we're eating it? So I think a lot of people that have, you know, gluten intolerance, it's not that they're intolerant to gluten, it's they're intolerant to what they're spraying on the wheat. They're on. Another thing that I was a personal testimony of this, my son was starting to get headaches and throw up once a week. And I thought, oh man, he keeps getting everything at school. But then I started realizing some of the kids in his class, they weren't sick. He was the only one getting it. And so I would watch when he would eat and then when he would get sick. And I noticed he was eating a lot of non-organic wheat. So I pulled him off that. He instantly stopped getting sick. And I thought, well, maybe that was just a fluke. Let him go back on it, got sick again. So he was being affected, I think, by a compound amounts of glyphosate over the years. So now, like, we went strictly to all organic wheat in our household. So that's another thing. If you can do that as soon as possible, I would. And I would also get on a good probiotic because your microbiome, if you've not been eating organic wheat and grains, it's probably destroyed. You know, it's definitely been affected. I would definitely get on a good probiotic. The other thing that I want to mention, another spray that I thought was interesting was atrazine. They spray atrazine on almost all corn and all sugar. So not only is corn getting glyphosate, but it's getting atrazine too. And I would research that. I would research what does atrazine do to the body. In my research, I found that it's linked to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and lung disease. Yeah, they put it on our sugar, which we've increased in, and they're putting on corn, which is in so many things. Think of corn syrup, popcorn, corn chips, corn tortillas. All this stuff is sprayed with glyphosate and atrazine. And not only that, but the sugar element too. You know, so any of your sodas, that's got atrazine in it. Oh, I forgot to mention this in glyphosate. Though they did a study and they found that 80% of the U.S. Citizens had glyphosate in their urine. They detected it in their urine. So 80% of the population has issues with glyphosate right now. And so those are just some things that they spray on it. That's a little bit what they do. They also put atrazine in the water supply. I'm like, oh, thanks guys. Thanks for that. What you put in the water supply? So that's another thing to be on the lookout for when you're doing your research on what's in my water. So here's the simple ways that you can start eating healthier now. If you can't switch over to all organic, I would start using less processed, doing more whole foods, more cooking from scratch. There's tons of recipes online. If you're interested, put together some of the stuff that I regularly make from scratch. It's not that hard, and I actually enjoy doing that kind of thing. I would definitely go clean out your cupboard. I would start looking at your ingredients. If you don't know what they are, out. Bioengineered, out. Natural flavors, out. That's what I would personally do. Try to get away from food dye and preservatives if you can. Get the supplements that you feel led to get after praying about it. Again, we've said pray about it, ask the Lord what you need to do. Get a water purifier if you need one. Let's see, I already said that. Let's see. I usually live by 5 to 6 ingredients max. Here's one thing that's really helped me, two staple things: a bread machine and a what's my other one? The bread machine. Oh, and an Instant Pot. Instant Pot's got a stainless steel insert, so you're cooking and it's on good metals. And then the bread machine is amazing because I make my bread. So I make bread. You literally put all the ingredients in and push start. Super easy. I love it. I've got a good sourdough recipe I could share with anybody who's interested in. But we make our pizza every week because gracious knows I don't know what's in those pizzas at the store. Okay. And then sometimes, like I said, you can't always do it. Every once in a while we get pizza out. We do. But for the most part, we make our own pizzas. I've got a great pizza dough. I got a pizza oven. And so we kind of make it a whole thing. We make it a whole kind of event for pizza night. It's super fun for us. But I make my dough in my bread maker. You just throw all the ingredients in, push start, 2 hours. You've got fresh dough that you barely have to do anything with. Make your own salad dressing. Super easy. And it's a real quick tweak you can do. And then, like I said, I would do organic butter first. Then I do organic meat after that. I do organic corn and wheat after that. And then I do the Dirty Dozen. Eventually, I would go all organic if you can and when you can. And I believe that God can provide. I think he wants us to eat healthy. And so that's just something like this. Our grocery bill is increasing, but also I believe our medical bills are decreasing with that. And like I said, start where you can. And I would say, last but not least, pray and ask God, what's the most important for you and your family? What do I need to start with? God, help me, show me how I need to eat, and just start somewhere. And we'd love to hear what you're going to start with. And like I said, don't be overwhelmed by this. We just said stuff that we've implemented over the last 20 years. So we're just coming up with our research, and we will share the links to all the stuff so you can research it for yourself. Because sometimes like you learn this stuff and then you share it with like a spouse or a loved one, then they're skeptical. And then you can pull up the article and say, read this article and then let me know what you think. So that's what I got for you. I'm going to throw it over to Diane. She's going to talk to us about fitness because that is not my jam.
I love it. Well, here's the deal. I'm going to really keep this kind of short today, but there's a few things that I really want to hone in on that have to do with the physical aspects of growth. And first of all, I want to start out with just a couple of scriptures because, you know, it's easy to think like, oh, well, does God really care if I'm physically fit? Does the Bible say anything about me being physically healthy? Does it matter? And I want to say, yes, it does. Because I think that the number one thing, starting with what Amber's went through already, and what I'm about to share is that I think we need to all understand 1 Corinthians, it's 6:19 through 20, and it says this: do you know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. I think that is a scripture that can be easily overlooked because sometimes we can argue, well, we just don't have time, or we just don't have the money, or we just don't have yada, yada, yada. I'm here to tell you that we have every single thing that we need to live a healthy lifestyle. It is a matter of choosing to do that. It's a matter of decision. And so I think that not only is it a matter of decision, but it's also a matter of discipline. Romans 12:1 says, therefore, I appeal to you, brothers, therefore, by the mercies of God, to present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. It is an act of worship to not only lay our lives down, be surrendered to the Lord and his will, but to also take care of our body. It is the temple of his spirit. How many of us would want to be or go to a church and take part of a church that was just ransacked, that was not taken care of? It was dirty. It was not maintained. The grass was not cut. There were weeds everywhere, and it was just falling apart. We would be like, wow, God deserves better than this. This is his church. He deserves to have this taken care of and maintained and honored. We are the church. He expects us to maintain and honor our bodies because it's where he dwells. And I think that it is of the utmost importance to not only take care of it by what we put in it, but by how we move it. And I am not saying we need to be physically fit to look a certain way. This is being physically fit is not about body image. That's a whole nother talk. And I was actually going to get into that, but I'm not going to go there a lot today. But please know that being physically fit is not about looking a particular way. It's about having a body that is fit enough to move, to go, to do. We cannot be the women of God. We cannot be the army that he has raised us up to be if we are unhealthy and unable to move. We're just not going to, we won't have energy. We won't have stamina. We won't have creativity. We won't have the right mindset. It's all a part of our physical body. We are physical creatures. We have a spirit, but we have a body, and we have to take care of the flesh. It is our responsibility. It's wise to do so. It's foolish to not. So I want to talk about just a couple of things. And that is the importance of moving your body in addition to feeding it well, because you can never outwork your food. Okay. The gym will never take precedence over the kitchen. Does that make sense? It doesn't matter how hard you work out if you refuse to change what you put in your body, because working out will never compensate for what you put in your body. Okay. So it's like 80% what we put in our body, 10% of how we work out comes up to the reality of what we look like and feel like. Okay. So here's the deal. We talked a lot about mental health last week. Moving our body, if you go on a 20-minute walk, it is automatically giving you a natural antidepressant. If you're feeling down, go move your body. Go move. I don't care where you have to do it. There's no excuse. You can walk laps around your house. If you live in an apartment complex, walk laps around your apartment complex, walk through a parking lot. You can find some place to walk, go to the mall, anywhere, but move your body. I am going to say not only move your body, that's a good starting point, but I want to encourage each and every woman on this call to do something hard. I want you to, okay, so here's the deal. We're just going to hit it hard and hit it quick, because I think the food is the most important, but I want you to know this. When you walk, so for instance, you do some form of cardio, you get your heart rate up, you start moving, you do that for 20 minutes. That is going to allow your body to continue burning calories for up to a handful of hours. Okay. So let's say you bust it, you get your heart going, your heart rate moving, you're sweating, you're like, okay, I feel good. Your body's like, awesome, now I'm going to burn some calories for a handful of hours after that workout. But if you do something hard, if you do resistance training, if you lift heavy weights, your body will burn calories up to 48 hours later. It's like, why are we not doing that? It's unbelievable. So we have to, anything worth getting takes hard work. It's just true. Eating, it's going to take hard work to change your eating habit. It's going to take hard work to change your body and to change your stamina and your physical ability to do things that maybe you couldn't do before. But I wanted to share this. I find this really fascinating. I think it's about, it's a matter of discipline. As women, we pour out and we do so much for everybody else. And we often, at the end of the day, lay in bed and say, okay, I followed through on all those things that I was supposed to do, or I did a pretty good job at it. But you know what I did do is I let myself down. I didn't show up for me. I didn't keep the promises that I made to myself. And I'm telling you, that is detrimental to your health, because your mind is now being wired. Like we talked about our mental health, our thoughts. We are teaching our mind that we don't have to follow through for us, but we just have to do it for everybody else. You, again, cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to make time for you. Maybe your goal is not to be super physically fit. Maybe your goal right now to start out is like, I'm going to clean up my pantry and I'm just going to eat better, whatever. But you still have to move your body in some capacity. Okay. I promise you, because even if you eat really good and you don't move your body, and you're going to lose stamina. You're going to lose energy. You're going to lose motivation. Moving your body is just absolutely critical. And there are a lot of scriptures that talk about physical training and competitions. It talks a lot about like athletes and what they do to train so that they're ready for the fight, they're ready for the battle, they're ready for the race. We're in the race of our life, ladies. We're in a war. We're in a battle. We've got to be physically fit. We have to. And I think that if we just look around and scan, and I'm just saying this because I think it's really, really important. I think that the majority of people are not living their best life physically. I just don't. I think that we could be doing a lot more with the time that we've been given if we take our physical health serious. And I think that God expects us to do that. I think He has blessed us with bodies that move and work and function. And I also think that if we are a temple of His Spirit, I think we should honor Him and do the very best that we can with the body that He gave us while we're here. I do. Amber talked about old age in the beginning. We cannot get to that age by doing nothing. It takes work. We have got to put in the work. I want you to think about this. God has called us to be disciples. Our job is to make disciples of many nations, right? That's what we've been called to do, to bring people to Jesus, to be a disciple, a follower of Him. Do you know that the word discipline has the word disciple in it? It is a disciple in, the word disciple is in discipline. Discipline has the word disciple and in. Okay? We have to walk in discipline in order to be a disciple. Does that make sense? Am I articulating that well? Write it out. You'll see discipline. You have disciple, and then you have the word in. We have to walk in discipline in order to be a disciple of Jesus. We have to physically, spiritually, and mentally walk in discipline. And I just want to challenge you to do that. So here's the deal. There are a million good things that come from moving your body. There are a million good things. Here's another thing. You can't say you don't know what to do because all you have to do is look online and there are 8 billion different options. Now, I know that sometimes a confused mind says no, and so we just don't do anything. I want you to not be overwhelmed. I want you to go and I want you to, first of all, I want you to ask the Lord, Lord, what do you want me to do to better myself physically? Okay. And I'm pretty sure He's going to tell you what to eat. He did me. I know exactly what I'm supposed to eat, and it's hard. It is hard for me because it's a lot of the things that I love that I know I'm not supposed to have. But I also want you to ask Him, Lord, physically, what can I do to make my physical body honor you? What can I do to honor you with my physical body? How can I move? And maybe He's going to say, you know what? I just want you to walk every day. For me, I'm going to tell you exactly what He said to me. He said, I don't care what you do, but I want you to be consistent. And I was like, dang, because that's my problem. I start and I go and I let myself down and I'm like, well, I'm not seeing the results that I wanted, or I'm not like where I need to be yet, or I'm just getting busy and I quit. And then 6 months later, I'm like, dang it, if I would have stuck with it, I'd be so happy right now. I'd be so proud of myself right now. And so sometimes I think it's just consistency. So here's the deal. I want you to challenge yourself to physically move 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. You can walk. Here's the kicker though. You have to get your heart rate up. Okay. So if you're moving physically for 20 minutes a week without getting your heart rate up, it does not count. So go for a walk, run a little bit. You could walk for 2 minutes, jog for 30 seconds, walk for 2 minutes, jog for 30 seconds. You can lift weights. You're like, well, I don't have weights. Find something. You can use soup cans. It does not have to be something that you have to go buy to do. You can use your body weight. You can do push-ups. Here's a challenge that I've done myself, and I've noticed incredible results from it. I do 75 squats a day, 75 push-ups a day, and 75 sit-ups a day. And it seems hard, but listen, it takes literally less than a minute to do 25 squats. Just stand where you are. You don't have to use any weight. Just do 25 squats. It takes less than a minute. You do that 3 times a day. Morning, afternoon, and night. Do the same thing for sit-ups. It's 3 minutes of working out 3 times a day, and that is compound effects right there. Think about the compound effects. If you do 75 sit-ups, 75 push-ups, and 75 squats every day, 5 days a week for the next 3 months. You're going to see results and you're going to feel stronger. You're going to have more movement. You're going to be more mobile. And so it doesn't have to be big things. So I want you to move for 20 minutes a day with an increased heart rate. I want you to, and I would challenge you to try this 75 challenge, that 75 sit-ups, 75 squats, and 75 push-ups. You can do the girl push-ups, it don't matter. And if you're super fit, do a hard push-up. Put your elbows in really close to your body, or lift your legs up, do an inverted one. Find a way to make it work. But after that, I would say, once you start getting better, I want you to start lifting heavy weights. I think lifting weights is essential to living your best life. I just do. I love lifting weights. I feel good about it. I love it. It's my jam. Maybe you want to look into CrossFit. Maybe you want to look into walking or running, whatever it is for you, find something that works. But basically, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. Okay. So if you're not moving your heart rate, if you're not making it a little challenging, you're not going to get the benefits of it. You're not. It's just going to be a fun little hobby, but don't expect results. So consistency is key. Discipline, just discipline yourself. Be disciplined. Keep your promises to you. Move your body. Work your body. Food is essential. It's 80, 10, 10. Remember, we started out with that stat. 80% is what you eat. 10% is you're working out, and 10% is genetics. Okay. So you can't be blaming your family history on how you look. It's only 10% of it, right? I'm just saying it might come down the bloodline, but you have some work that you can do as well. There was so much more I wanted to hit on, but I don't want to take this too long. And I really think the food is the biggest portion of it. Food, supplementation, rest, go to bed. Here's a little tip. I'll just share this little tip. Something that I did is I was like, gosh, you know what, my screen time, like when I noticed my screen time was higher than it should be, and I was just like kind of disappointed in myself, like I don't want to waste my time scrolling. I gave myself a rule, and I only allow myself to scroll social media if I was on the treadmill. Wow. Or on the elliptical or something like that. And now if you're at a park, that's not a good idea because you need to look where you're going. But if you're on a treadmill or an elliptical, let that be your only time to scroll. Let that be the time that you're looking things up and spending time on your phone. And when you get off, you get off. And I'm telling you what, I increased my time on my treadmill quite a bit when I allowed myself to do that. Instead of doing 15 or 20 minutes, I'd be like, wow, I got to like 40 minutes, or I'm listening to a podcast or whatever. But there are a lot of things that you can do. So I think I'm just going to kind of wrap it up there. Is anything else you wanted to dive into on physical fitness, Amber?
Yeah, I was just going to do just kind of like you just shared, like practical, because I haven't necessarily always been like very consistent with working out, but I recently asked the Lord, what can I do? Because you know how I am, Jesus, and he knows how we are. Mm-hmm. So it's good to ask him and get him involved. One thing that really encouraged me was a statement I heard recently, is that the muscles are like the only organ in our body that reverse ages. So as you work it out, it actually helps you live longer and be healthier and be younger, that kind of thing. So I asked the Lord, what can I do to begin to increase my activity? Because a lot of my work is sedentary. You know, I sit down, I write, I work on things, I do videos like this, you know, so what can I do? And the Lord just gave me something very simple. He's like, I want you to start by walking half an hour a day. I'm like, I can walk half an hour. So I have been consistent since then. Only one day it was raining, I couldn't do it. But my husband and I, after dinner, we go on a half an hour walk. Last night he had something to do. I made my boys go on a walk with me. And so we all walked for half an hour. And I'm getting my heart rate up. And that's been something that's not only improved my physical stamina, but it's also improved my communication with my spouse. So that's really cool. So I started doing that. Another thing I watched the other day that encouraged me, I think I told you guys in another video that I've been turning my phone off and not bringing it into my room at night. And so I get out in the living room. And so I stop exposing myself to the blue light between 8 and 9 o'clock. And then I go into my room and I read or talk to my husband for the next half hour to an hour. And I'm asleep by 10 o'clock. And I'm getting a full 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And then I heard this reel, and the guy said, I challenge you to get up, don't look at your phone for the first 15 minutes of your day. Get outside if you can and grab some of that first morning light. It helps reset your circadian rhythm. And it helps you, begin to get the rest that you need, then wake you up. And so you're falling to sleep without aids. You're able to do it without medicine and supplements. You can do it without that. And so I've been doing that. I get up, I don't look at my phone. Because it gives you like that like electronic dopamine hit instead of
Mm-hmm.
actually getting it from life-giving sources, like seeing your family, talking to
Yeah.
them, aging and stuff. So I've been doing that, and I've noticed just physically I'm feeling better in the morning. And I even go out there and walk. I go out there barefoot and stick my feet on the ground. I don't have all the research on
Yes.
ground. I know grounding is good for you. So
It's so huge.
I've been putting my feet on the ground. I've been trying to move my body within the first half an hour of the day. Now, I'm not doing my walk at that time, but I'm starting to do like exercises like you were mentioning. And I found some videos.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't worked out in a long time. Start with this. And I was like, that's what I need to start with. So we need to start. I can share those too. They've been encouraging me. I've been saving them on my notes, like arm workouts, stomach workouts, just kind of easy core beginning up. So that's been helping me. And, I wanted to mention this last thing with the food, with the physically fit. God put me on a very specific regimen 3 years ago. And when I was doing this, I began to also dive into the gifts of the Spirit, and I was able to hear very clearly from the Lord in dreams and visions. And I believe it was really connected to how clean I was eating. And if you even think about Daniel in the Bible, he went on the Daniel fast, and he was what? He was getting dreams and being able to interpret them and getting visions. So I'm like, oh, he ate a certain way and he was able to hear better. So I really do think how you because those chemicals, those things are going into your body, they are affecting your brain and how you receive. And so I think the cleaner we eat, like the more we're not disrupting our receptors to hear.
Yeah.
Well, like I've seen it in my own, and if I ever drink coffee late at night, I won't dream. I won't get any, I'll notice it won't be I won't be hearing as clearly. So the cleaner I eat, I dream. I've noticed that connection. So I think it's good to implement this stuff now. So when we talk about the gifts, I think that you'll be more easier to step into them because you'll have care of your body, which does affect your brain and your spirit as well.
Yeah, I think too, I'm just going to throw this out there. We're not going to teach on it, but I do think that it's really an interesting topic to dive into is fasting, because if we can fast too, it literally gives your body an opportunity to purge all of those things out, because when your body's not working to digest your food, it goes after the bad cells in your body, and it will begin to eat them up and purge them out. And so it's a really great way to just give yourself a reset. And there's a lot of different fastings. I'm not going to tell you which ones you should do. There's a lot of different options out there. So pray about that too. I really want you to hone in on all of this information. There's so much stuff. There's so much information on the internet that it can be confusing and overwhelming. Just sit with the Lord in the secret place. You've heard us talk time and time again about that, and ask him, Lord, what do you want me to do? What is my issue? What is my struggle? What am I addicted to? What foods need to go? What am I doing? What can I do different in my family? And I want you to just write those things down and start there, because Amber's heard how to eat, and what God told her to do is completely different than what he told me to do. Yep. And so you need to ask him for you. He created you. He knows exactly what makes you tick. He knows what works best in your system, because there are, every blood type can have a different diet according to a lot of doctors. There's so many different things. He's your creator. Say, Lord, what is going to work best in my body? What have you created me for? And give me the self-discipline, which is the fruit of the Spirit. Give me the discipline to follow through with it. Give me the discipline to follow through with it, and help me to help my family eat this way, because that's our responsibility too. So we love you, and we hope this didn't overwhelm you, but we really just ask the Lord what he has for you. But we can also be wise. We can be wise, and we can be good stewards. And so let's clean out the junk. So go to your pantry, see what's in there that does not belong. If it's full of sugar, if it's fake, if it's got all the seed oils, get them out. Clean out your fridge and find some good, clean, healthy options. We'll link all of the resources below that Amber mentioned as far as food. And I think I've got a few fitness resources that I'll link as well that I love, that I think are really great, that I think you'll enjoy. And we'll also list some supplement sources for you. So you just dive into whatever capacity that you can. But I'm telling you this, you start watching what you put in your body, you start moving your body. And I'm telling you, things are going to change in your life. You're going to have more stamina, more energy, more creativity. And yes, you will definitely hear from the Lord in a much clearer way, because you won't be so bogged down. So
amen. That's so good. We can't wait for testimonies from this. We love you guys, and we hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.